terms of planning accuracy, Carol, do you have an idea of how roughly accurate you are, and are you getting better at that? So at least there's some idea if an office is really going to realistically receive. And I think this ties in if you're going to be supplement to procurement planning. So those of us that do both, we have to keep an eye on that accuracy. So if we can or can't depend on it, that we still have budget to procure those items. But I assume this is a learning and growing period, but it varies a lot. But just anything you can share if you've looked back historically.
Yeah, I think we're getting more accurate, but that may actually be a question more for all of you. Do you feel that you're doing a better job in your planning and what you're submitting to us? Because if you're getting more accurate in what you're submitting to us, then we are getting more accurate by definition in what we're submitting to our donors, and then obviously what we're able to procure and to send back to you. So I don't know if somebody here wants to talk a little bit about how accurate if you think this process is getting better over time. My perception is that it is, that we're getting better information from you today than we did a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. But this is still a developing process. It's not tight yet, and we have a lot of work to do.
I should have said fulfillment accuracy, Carol.
I just want to make a comment on that as well. That
are you meaning 20, 80, 50%?
We're meeting maybe 10% of
yeah.
all the requests.
Because I think that's really key for the team to hear is all that you request with all the capacity, roughly 10% of what we ask for. So,
yeah. Sharon, I just wanted to make a comment on that as well, which is part of why we've aligned with the AVI planning the way that we have, and why we're trying to get back to you by the 11th with our commitments, is so that you actually know what we've committed to prior to completing your planning process. So you already will know the gaps, and you can make up for or change your plans accordingly. And that's why we had major discussions about it back in April when we had the GIK conference. And we are hoping, this year's the first year we're going to be able to do this, but that's what we're hoping is going to be the outcome, is that you'll know ahead of time better what we're going to be able to fulfill.
Assuming we do a lot of work this week over here. I still have it this coming.
Just have a couple minutes. Just 1 minute. We have Bernie, and then you.
Just wanted to comment also on the process that many years ago there was no GIK conference, there was no GIK working group. So national offices, you would send your request to your individual SOs to Canada, to Australia, and you get responses directly in a disorganized fashion. Over the last 3 years, I think it has been improving a lot. And I believe this is one of the outcomes where you have a GIK conference and you keep improving the process. On the question about feedback and not getting what you wanted, I guess over time you will improve on it. When you will have your quarterly reports, you will have Carol and the group will probably develop a monthly report wherein you will do your balance sheet of what you receive. No, I'm saying this will be for the future, not tomorrow. But I guess you have started the process, which is very good. And the feedback loop is still not short. It's still long. That's why in Ghana, you're receiving less than what you have required, or the expiry date is not known until the GIK conference. In the future, as you develop your own systems, monthly, quarterly, the expiry date problem will appear this month if the problem was last month. Because you don't have yet the processes of communication, you probably will learn about it here. But what I'm saying is that it keeps on improving, and the more we work together, the more we develop these particular systems, we will be more proactive in getting what you require. But 10% is not bad. Maybe it was 2% years ago.
John up front, and then it will be time to move on, I think.
Yeah, mine is just to, it's a clarification in terms of what you request and what you get. Well, it's actually related to the planning process. So if you're asking us to plan, do we plan, say, up to 50%? We submit up to 50%, and then as you procure, you get 10%. So is it because this is free donations, or is it a purchase? So I'm actually curious to understand if you as a team procure in the terms of my understanding, where you go and buy materials based on the plan that you have received.
Right, no, we don't. These are all donated goods. And the gifts in kind are donated goods. We haven't spent any money on the purchase of these goods. Occasionally there'll be money involved, but we aren't purchasing any. And that's what we mean when we say this is the nature of the gifting kind resource, because it's donated, and we cannot, certainly in all cases, and in many cases, we cannot we can always request, but we cannot expect to receive what we request all the time. And so we're dealing with corporations. Corporations can be philanthropic, but as Sharon mentioned before, right, they're interested in their bottom line. So a lot of what we are offered comes out of a an objective to better their bottom line, right? Tax write-offs and things like that. So we get very good product, but it's overstock or something like that. We do have a few examples, right? It's a good example of where we want to head with good planning, with good procurement activity by our donor reps. We can go and work with corporations who are now producing to give. Some of you are receiving Tom's shoes from us. These are produced to give. If you want shoes, we can talk to Tom's, right? And you can order sizes and quantity and the schedule. You can set the schedule. When do you want them? Just as if you were purchasing. Marius, and then that's it, right? I don't know, how are we doing?
You are now over time.
Overtime, we're over time, but I already said Marius could ask his question, so. Sorry. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
And write your questions down, and we will keep track of them as well. And then stick them on the board back there. We will make sure that they all get answered at some point.
About Tom's shipments, I want to comment something. We received what we asked for, but we have an issue with the numbers. If, for example, the number was 40, we can use for the people who have 38. I think they're not very accurate.
Oh, okay. So it's a matter of you got what you asked, but the sizes were not accurate.
It was less than.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Size.
No, the size of the shoes. Okay. Thank you.
Perfect.
Carol, there's one more question.
And,
when you plan to procure GIK, especially medical supplies, do you take into consideration of language? Because medical supplies can be procured to a certain country and they are useless if the health specialists do not understand the language it is written, because they could not know how to use it, and then it becomes useless. So.
yes, thank you. This is good feedback. You know, we do what we can with the language. We try to provide as much detail as we can in multiple languages, but yes, as we procure, it's the same situation. It may be offered in multiple languages, or it may be not, or it may not be. but that's something that we can communicate, right? So that we ensure that if it's important, we don't, send product that's only in English, for example, if it must be in French.
Just to answer Jean-Marie's question, you can probably input that feedback in the template. So we have this particular instance for books, for instance. So you have to specify what language you want the books in. So we make sure that we don't send French books to an English-speaking country and vice versa. So similarly, you could just put your notes there saying instructions have to be in French, so that it makes for a better product, yeah.